Hey YouTube, I am Shaggy Philalitea. I am chilling back at the tent under my light. I don't know how it's convenient for you to see me. How convenient it is for you to see me, I should say. Here, how's that? And I'm thinking about the psych experiment. Are you familiar? Have you ever heard of the psych experiment they did with kids and marshmallows? So the experiment is they would give small kid, I don't know how old, 4 or 5, whatever, small, very small, a marshmallow, and then they would tell the kid not to eat the marshmallow and that they were going to come right back. And now there's your control group and then your experiment and whatever. I don't remember all of the details. They may have offered the kid a reward. They may have not offered the kids reward. They may have messed with those as the actual experiment. But what they found is that kids broke down into 3 basic categories. They broke down into the kid who was always going to eat it, no matter what, just no impulse control, always going to eat the marshmallow, and then the kids who weren't going to eat the marshmallow, didn't eat the marshmallow, and then kids who would eat half of the marshmallow, and then expect to be praised for only eating half, right? Well, I only ate half, right? Now, it's cute, and it is what little kids are like. But among the kids who did eat it, there were also those who tried to act like they didn't, who tried to hide that they had eaten it, or all kinds of very cool behaviors. But what I was thinking about is, I'm a don't eat it. You tell me not to eat it, and I won't eat it kid. And then I was thinking, well, I wonder how many of you are don't eat it kids. I have a feeling that if you're on the internet, if you're on YouTube, there's a better than good chance that you are an eat it kid. Maybe you're an eat half of it kid. And so what I'm wondering is if you're honest enough with yourself to tell on yourself in the comments or with a comment video or whatever, if you're the kind of person who would actually also confess to which one you were, especially if it's the one that you might think is shameful. Because I think that there's an impulse to think that the kid who eats it is bad, is shameful, is a bad kid. I would say of that kid, well, the reason he ate it is because he's a bad kid. Just not a good kid. If he were a good kid, he wouldn't have eaten it. It's, in my mind, especially my the little version of me, small child version of me. Sorry, I'm going to be compulsively checking the inside of my tent for water while it's raining. I don't know if you can hear, but it is pouring outside. So far, so good. So far, so good. No major leaks. I legitimately don't know how I got the leak that got my sleeping bag liner wet. I legitimately don't know how that freak of nature happened. Oh, here we go. I have a little bit of a drip right here where my face is going to go. But that is from me bumping up into that's going to be a problem. That's going to be my biggest problem, is basically when I touch the sides of the tent, it's going to shake water loose. And so that's basically what I did, is I lay there and I just touched the side of the tent just enough to get it wet. And so I've been obsessive about thinking about it. Almost compulsive, you might say. I think there's an impulse to think that the eat it right away kid is bad. Because I think that we're all familiar with the grasshopper and the ants story. Grasshopper spent all summer fucking off, and the ants spent all summer preparing their den, and when winter came, the grasshopper nearly froze to death and had to live with the ants in order to survive the winter. And I think we're all fairly aware of that story, but What we aren't is close enough in time to that reality for that story to mean anything to us anymore. You're not close enough to a reality that's seasonal to understand that the winter is cold and it's difficult to find food in the winter, and that you gotta be prepared. You have to be prepared for winter. And so if you're living in I've been calling it, in my writing, I've been calling it a poverty mindset. If we're living with a poverty worldview, you have no choice but to be prepared for winter, because you will starve and you will freeze, because, we've grown accustomed to gas and electric heat right now. And we've grown accustomed to the idea that the government will subsidize poor people's electricity so they can have heat. But heat is expensive. Heat is resource expensive. That's why your electric bill gets so outrageous in the winter, is because it's a lot of energy. It requires a lot of energy in order to create just heat. Radiant heat requires a lot of inefficient energy. In fact, you have to create a lot of friction, effectively, or you have to burn a lot of fuel. You just do. You end up burning a lot of fuel. And so that also means that your body burns a lot of fuel. So that's why I'm trying to eat fatty and carb dense food. And I'm proud of myself. I've said it once before, but I've looked at my body. I have a habit of not looking at my body for long stretches of times, but I've looked at my body and I've gained weight. I've gained weight around my middle. I've gained weight around my chest and around my hips and my legs. And that's all good. I need to keep doing what I've been doing in that regard, and I just got to stay dry. And that might cost materials. What I might need to do is I might need to get another tarp, and or I might need to just move this tarp into a different location on my tent. I might need to just duct tape the tarp down. I have options. If it dries out tomorrow, I'm going to explore them. Told you I'm thinking about it obsessively and compulsively, but what I want you to think about, having watched this, is whether you're a grasshopper or an ant, whether your anxiety is about being prepared or what you're anxious about. What are you actually anxious about? Because if you know what you're actually anxious about, you can start working toward problem solving. That's what your therapist is going to do with you. If you were to pay a therapist hundreds of dollars an hour, they're going to ask you, well, what are you actually anxious about? And you're going to say, well, all of this list of things. And they're going to say, okay, well, what does that list of things break down into categorically? Is it one thing? Okay, so you're anxious about this. Okay, well, how do we take steps to solve your anxiety, or to alleviate your anxiety? Because anxiety is it's the terror that you've made a mistake that you're unaware of. It's the terror that you're too stupid to remain alive. It's the terror that something fucking outside your control is going to happen because you didn't prepare properly. You didn't defend yourself beforehand. And so I've been really struggling with anxiety because my life is out of my hands. And so there's a Christian or a religious message there for me to learn, and then to teach you about letting go even of this stuff and strapping it all to my body, that anything that's going to make me anxious about being ruined needs to go on my body. But that is still going to become pretty nuts in material cost if I have to buy paper towels to keep this place clean and dry. All things that I was prepared for moving in here. It's just the material. I was also emotionally and cognitively prepared for somebody to fuck up my tent. The problem is, after dark, I get to thinking about, well, how am I going to handle fixing that with? But I also forget that I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. except on days that I see my therapist. Well, not days. Next Thursday, I have to be awake. I have to be on the bus before 7. Unimportant. You don't need to know that, but that's my only obligation. If I want to eat, I have to be downtown before 12:30. Otherwise, I don't have obligations. And so I think, well, you don't know this. I've written about it a lot, and you're going to hear all of the things I'm writing. But I got really anxious. I get really anxious about being required to be places. A lot of this is about retiring from being required to be places. I've been required to be somewhere other than where I want to be, somewhere other than where it makes sense for me to be, since I was 4 years old, since I was in preschool. And all of those places I was abandoned and left late and mistreated. And so I don't want to go to those places anymore. I don't want a job that's going to mistreat me. I don't want to deal with customers who are going to mistreat me. I'm mistreated for being a moderately attractive, very tall white man. And so what I don't want to do is make myself even more vulnerable to distraction and destruction. And the rain is letting up. So who are you? Are you a mushroom kid or a marshmallow kid? Are you the eat the marshmallow kid, or are you the don't eat the marshmallow kid? And are you the don't eat the marshmallow kid because you're preparing for the future, or because you're a good kid? Were you a good kid as a kid? Were you a good kid, or were you a justifiably bad kid? Were you a boys will be boys kid, or feminism lets girls behave that way now kid? I'm curious because, as I started to say, I don't think there's a. I touched the tip of my nose because it's on the nose. If you're going to participate in this, you have to be on the nose thinking. I used to think that bad kids were bad people, and now I kind of think that bad kids are burgeoning adults who aren't going to become good adults. And so I wonder if you could help me collect data on that, because the only people I know who are bad kids, I know were bad kids, are horrible adults. But that doesn't mean that everybody that eats the marshmallow is also an unprepared, self-centered, egotistical adult. I'm curious about you. Thanks for watching. I'm Shaggy. I am Phil Alitea. I have been talking to you for 12 minutes about a marshmallow experiment that was done by psychologists, I believe, in the 70s, and it really is too bad that my glasses glare like that and that my light isn't much brighter than this, but it doesn't need to be brighter than this, and I don't really feel comfortable talking like this. But I asked Coles if they wanted me to leave, and they said they didn't care, so I'm going to try a little bit harder to reach you like this in short form. Thanks for being here. 13 minutes doesn't feel like it's a big ask, and I touched on a lot, so do remember to like, comment, subscribe if you're not already, share this with your friends, and don't be afraid to search my Patreon, Shaggy Phil Alitea. Don't be afraid to learn a new word. You might be surprised how good you feel about yourself knowing new words and new concepts. Alright, until next time, you know what I say. And if you don't, ask me to get back to saying that. Tell me what you like. Tell me what I consistently do that you like, and I'll do it more often, because I would like to know. I would like to know what you like about me, because I don't know. I like me, but I don't know what other people see. Help a guy out. Come on. All right. Till next time.